Welcome to DAO Watch episode 10. I am here in my makeshift new office. We're getting there. This episode, we're going to do a lot of upsetting of people. We're going to look at Dash and upset people. We're going to look at PIVX and upset people. We're then going to move on to Evmos and upset people. And finally, we're going to go on to Aave, and they are too big to upset. So we're not going to upset anyone there. This one is a longer than usual episode, but there's so many controversial things to get through. Maybe not controversial, maybe just me being a stick in the mud. Either way, enjoy DAO Watch episode 10. Hello and welcome to DAO Watch episode 10. This special guest for this episode is the mighty Aave. Aave is one of the ever-presents and I would say, one of the biggest protocols in DeFi. It's got 6 billion locked, well, 6.5 billion almost locked across 5 networks over 11 markets. So Aave is a behemoth. But the actual protocol of Aave is not really what we're interested in. We're interested in the governance. So we're going to look at a very, very interesting, timely, and I'd say almost topical proposal. It's not really very controversial, but it is quite interesting on Aave. We're going to take a look at that proposal a little bit later. As usual, we will get started, however, with Dash. And yeah, as far as controversy goes, I've got a feeling quite a few people, well, only a few people in Dash will not be, may not be happy with my assessment of this particular proposal. Okay, so the proposal's been put forward by a guy called Quantum Explorer, and it's for the Dash Group supplemental funding. So it's basically to give more funding to the Dash core group. The amount requested is a one-time payment of $22,000 US. Currently, it's got 476 yes, 101 no, and 12 abstain. This is at the time of recording. By the time this actually publishes, that could be different. So here's the thing, right? The Dash core group are basically the team that is responsible for doing the development work on Dash, the main development work on the main blockchain. So the main blockchain, I'd say the main wallet, the function of masternodes, just the main thing that works for Dash. They're responsible for that. So if they're not doing the code themselves, they should be reviewing, at least overseeing, and making sure no bad things happen. They are the people responsible. Now, this particular proposal is for more funding. Regularly, everybody would say, yes, that's great. However, the Dash core group have been under fire for, we could say, a number of years now, purely because they have underdelivered. They've underdelivered. Maybe some people would argue, but some people would definitely suggest that they've underdelivered. Now, a few episodes ago, we looked at a proposal from a guy called Grandmaster Dash, which was about reports and about people reporting on their proposals. Now, the interesting thing about this is, although the Dash core group have asked for more funding and they have essentially underachieved for years now, they have now pretty much stopped producing reports. So let's go over the proposal itself for a little while. So significant gap from how much they should have been paid. Fine. Did they reduce their staff? They reduced their staff team by about 15%. They've cut more costs. Our compensation reserve now sits slightly under 4 months, so they've got about 4 months of runway. Do they plan more layoffs in the near future? It's now mostly technical organisation, with most of our business development and marketing staff having exited the project. The remaining staff is essential for us to function at a high level. We have no plans to revisit further reducing our staffing in the next month. So effectively what they're saying is that they only have developers left. Developers are generally the last people to go. I think that's a symptom of people not understanding how important developers are, and thus overestimating how important developers are. To have a project like Dash where most of their business development and marketing staff have now exited that's ridiculous. Especially when the actual developers that they've kept on are underachieving in the way that they are. How much of an impact do the supplemental proposals have? A big impact. Supplemental proposals leave a better state to hold off being forced to cut vital employees in the case that the bear market does not last, blah, 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 blah. So the problem, one of the problems that they're having is that their treasury is purely denominated, let's say, in Dash. So when the price of Dash is low, the amount they've got to spend is low. This is an issue that I've raised years ago, not only within Dash but within other projects, for the simple fact that you need to have something a lot more stable. So really, you'd want your treasury to be in stable coins, better still in Bitcoin, better still in gold. You want it in something that doesn't have so much volatility, so you know where you stand, or at least the percentage of your treasury you want to have in that separate type of currency. Didn't DCG previously communicate they wouldn't request over 60% of the total? Yes, in the past. Ryan Taylor, who has left, he's the guy who moved Dash away from privacy, obviously took his toys and left. He was a very smart looking guy from Wall Street, obviously, so everybody gave him the authority that he was clever, etc., etc. He probably was clever, but made the commitment to the Dash network. DCG's monthly would never exceed 60% of total budget. It was stated after there was significant backlash about DCG requesting funding for tax-related expenses, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, who cares about all that? Now, the first point that got raised was by Blue Moon, a masternode owner, and this really, I loved this comment. This is, for anybody watching, this is the perfect way to structure a comment. Basically, he's been quite concise. He started off with a compliment. I very much appreciate other DCG departments keeping the network updated on what is being achieved. Well, that's not a department. It's not a compliment. It's possibly a slight dig. The last Dash Core Group quarterly call was Q1 2021, which was well over a year ago now. Now, all the other groups seem to provide updates. Obviously, Incubator have now started their own videos. I think they're weekly, every Monday. So they've started their own videos, and they've got a lot of development happening there, and you know what's happening there, and you know where your money's going. Developers provide frequent video updates. Brian posts quarterly financials to the forum. Marine is present and actively engaged. One area, though, has been overlooked and not adequately explained. Other DCG departments, yeah. One area that is overlooked and is not adequately explained or reported. Dedicated bids on payroll. So he's saying basically, could Ernesto please provide the Masternode network with a detailed summary of the business development achievements and deliverables for each of the quarters outlined, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So that's the entire year of 2022. The entire year. There have been no reports on what business development activities they've been doing. I don't know how there's a partnership, let's say, between Dash and Maya. I don't know how that's come up around. Maya is a fork of Thorchain, which is a DEX. I don't know how that's come around. Maybe that was something that the business development guy's done. I doubt it, though. For consistently, preferably in the same format, blah, 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 blah. So basically what he's saying is, why should we be paying for this and we don't really know what's going on? He's not gone into thing to say, okay, when evolution, which would have been the obvious shout, comparison, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, and obviously it's come through. Obviously, it's come through with other people agreeing. Now, the interesting thing is where this ties in is this ties in with another proposal, which is the Dash DAO Trust funding. Now, the Dash DAO Trust was a legal structure by Ryan Taylor, the guy who I seem to be riding quite a lot today, but he's put forward this Dash Trust, and the idea of the Dash Trust is basically to ensure that the core group do as they say they're going to do. So I guess my question would be, why is the Dash Trust not asking questions about when evolution? It's often with these sorts of setups where you start to tie in legality that things start to get quite confusing, and instead of being simply held accountable at the blockchain level by updating the people who are voting, they are supposedly being accountable to another legal structure based somewhere probably containing or with people who are close to the Dash core group. So something you could probably discuss on the Trust Protector Board meeting on a Wednesday. But it's just really, for me, it's just another question of why are there not more reports? There just needs to be more reports. We need more reports about what Dash core group are actually doing, who's actually doing what. If they have an internal workflow, something like a Monday.com or I forget the name for them, but something like that where everybody gets assigned their own tasks and you get to see how far along their tasks they are. If they have something like that, then they can redact the parts that are critical that they don't want to let out, and they should share the rest so that people know, okay, well, this guy's doing this. Or last month when we checked, this guy was doing the same thing and it should have only taken him 2 days, but it's taken him a month. Well, we can ask why. I'm not a fan of non-developers micromanaging developers. However, I think that non-developers should be allowed to question developers. And in this scenario, it looks like, as usual, the developers have gotten much more leeway than they really deserve. Time for some parliamentary procedure. I like to go through the pros and cons. Okay, the pros are that it's funding core development, and if you stop funding core development, you are, in essence, in a bit of a jam. However, the cons are there seems to be very little core development going on. I can't remember there being a significant core update to Dash since deterministic masternodes. If you disagree, you can argue with yourselves in the comments. So where is this funding going? And there is no reports to say where this funding is going. So the cons outweigh the pros for me at the moment. What makes it worse for them is the way Incubator are acting. So the Dash Incubator are acting the way that Core should be acting. And it's highlighting even more how bad Core actually is. Unless I'm missing something. If I am, I'll gladly issue a correction. But it just seems to me like you've got Dash Incubator, which is not Core, which is getting funding, and it's becoming the new Core. They are actually building stuff. They are changing user experience. They are making partnerships. They are explaining those partnerships and why those partnerships exist. They are following up on previous proposals to fund partnerships or to fund failed partnerships and try to resuscitate and save them. In the case of 4chain, when money was paid, and it seems like 4chain reneged on the deal. Money was paid. No, that's not right. Code was written, and it seems like 4chain have reneged. So now it seems like Maya is the new golden child. How can I say a disclaimer on that? Because I'm not sure all of those technically spot on. I think it's close enough. Anyway, so because the incubator are doing so well, in comparison, it's making Dash Core Group look even worse. I wouldn't want to be Quantum Explorer right now, having to ask for funding for these guys. I think really a lot of complacency is set in with them, and if they didn't get funded, I would be happy. I'd be happy if they didn't get funded. It would be scary for masternode owners, scary for people who own Dash, but in the long run, it'd be good. Rip off the band-aid and rip off the plaster. And let's get some people in there who can report correctly, because it matters. I feel like in a traditional company, if we had a year with no reports, those people would get fired. I think if you had a half a year with no reports, those people would get fired. There would probably be some sort of legal case brought forward. If you had a whole year, an entire year, yeah, come on now. And I think that level of complacency is not on. So, how am I going to vote? I'm going to vote no. Interested to hear any of your views on why, like especially the people who have voted yes. Why have you voted yes? Why would you vote yes? And if you've abstained, why would you abstain? Those of you who voted no, I would assume you voted no for the same reason that I am. It's also a little bit worrying that there are so many yes votes. We know that Dash masternode distribution, it's probably not as widely distributed as we would like. So I would wonder how many physically different human beings are in that yes camp of 476 yes votes. I would dare say it's not as many as are in the no camp of 101 no votes. I would dare say that, because I can't see why this is still getting funded. Okay, so for me, it's a no. I would continue to vote no until there are some reports, until we know what these guys are actually doing. And at this stage, I would want something like a weekly report, all the people who are involved. I would want, if they don't want to give their names, I'd want at least a pseudonym and what they're doing. So that we can start picking and choosing. Well, we can sack this guy, because we do need business development and we do need marketing, and to get rid of all of them and only keep devs and not tell us what the devs are doing, to me, is crazy. So that's a no from me. But you are welcome to discuss, give your thoughts. Am I right? Am I wrong? You can comment below. That's what it's there for. Okay, let's move on. Dash has taken up enough of our time. Okay, here we go. I'm going to upset more people. This, full disclosure, we had a situation like this before, and we will have it within PIVX, is that I'm going to have to look at proposals by people who I like. I like Liquid. I've known him for a while. He's one of the developers who I actually wanted to get in to PIVX before, when the old dev regime was there, the hostile bunch, and I don't know what happened, but for some reason he was pushed out. Everyone was pushed out in those days because the devs were a hostile bunch. But now he's in, and it looks like he is one of the people involved with core development. Right, where do we start with this? Okay, so basically this is to do core development. Core development, as I said, is almost identical to Dash. PIVX and Dash are very similar, built on very similar architecture. The difference is PIVX is stuck with privacy. Dash hasn't. Dash is still a much bigger project, much bigger community, and that's about it. Right, so essentially, these two teams are very similar. It's not even close. The level of scrutiny that the PIVX developers got compared to the Dash developers. PIVX developers got much more scrutiny because there are people like me there always upsetting them. And now I'm no longer in the team because I was always upsetting them. I'm happy now because now I can upset everybody and nobody can tell me a damn thing. And now I'm going to upset my friend Liquid. So we've got this proposal here. I love you, Liquid. I'm sorry. We've got this proposal here. The proposal's asking for about 30,000 PIV 3 times over, which is around $11,000 at the time of recording. It may go up, it may go down. Now, what this proposal will bring and how it will be executed. First of all, like, why is everything centered? I don't like that. Just put it to the side. Type like an adult. Assisting PIVX core development. Well, this is a core development proposal, so it shouldn't be assisting. It should be conducting PIVX core development. Assisting in maintaining repositories in the PIVX project organization. I don't like this because I know that Fuzzballs basically does this. So why are we paying twice for essentially secretarial duties? Research regarding the current status of 6.0. Okay, fair enough. That's one fair enough. Allowing IPv4 or IPv6 capability to version 6.0. It's one of those things. I don't want to say who cares, but who cares? Finalizing 6.0 release, aka deterministic master nodes. Okay, now there was a proposal that we actually covered in the last episode, which was exactly about this. So over the things, we've got one thing which says assisting, which should be conducting. You should be taking the lead on. We've got assisting some other things which we are paying for in other proposals. Interestingly enough, in those proposals, Liquid's name is not in them. Should be, right? If we're going to do task related proposals, it should say everybody who's in the task, and it should pay for everybody who's in the task from that proposal. There shouldn't be any of this crossover because things just get confusing, and then people like me start saying possibly incorrect things, but it's because it's confusing. Okay, overviewing current code for various fixes and needs to be resolved during the 6.0 process. Okay, well, that's exactly the same as research regarding the current status of 6.0. So that's a duplication. Reviewing code submissions by various contributors before being merged into PIVX. Fine. One thing that I've learned since being involved in PIVX, whilst I used to give the other developers a hard time, was that reviewing code submissions often takes longer than typing the code itself. Use case development. How bland can you be? How vague can you be? What use cases? And I think that's a business development job. I don't think that's a developer's job. I don't want a developer developing use cases for me. Thank you very much. Adoption forward thinking. Again, no. You're a developer. Do the developing. New roadmap discussions. Nope. You're a developer. Do the developing. The thing that you could do and you should do is produce a roadmap. We are going to do this. So, okay, I'll take that back. We can have new roadmap discussions, but really, that should just be done because it's not a brand new project. There's not that many directions the project can go. I think that should just be done. That could and should be done within a matter of a week. Purchasing hardware needed for ledger testing. What does that mean? How do you test ledgers? Buy a ledger? No. Take that out. So basically, we're left with, honestly, reviewing code submissions by other people and finalizing the 6.0 release. So the rest of the stuff we can take out. Assisting core development should be conducting core development, but that's no. Okay, what have I done so far? So, and Fuzzballs touches on this, that it does make it look like it's a team, but are we just talking about one individual? So are we talking about 30,000 PIV just for one individual. Code reviews to push forward, contributed to building and releasing, assisting PIVX labs, take that out. Well, actually, it's one of those good faith things, but I don't like good faith. I think you should just say, this is what I'm being paid for, and anything else that you do, like, you just do. But okay, you can leave it in. Worked on several payment processors now needing to be configured for PIVX. Okay, what are those payment processors? What are they? Link to them. Being a developer available for support in Discord. I think that's unnecessary. Don't need developers for support. The problem is that the support team no longer exists. Interesting enough, we're going to look at a support proposal in Evmos in a little while, but I don't think developers should be paid to provide support. You don't need a developer to provide support. If it's a really bad issue, then you can forward it to a developer. You can add it to GitHub, or you can get a developer to help you if the support team really can't solve it. A good support team can solve all the support issues unless there's an issue with the actual code. So I don't think you need developers on the front line. I think that's definitely a waste of money. It's far too much money to be paying somebody to be a frontline support staff. I could do the support. We don't need somebody with a developer's level of knowledge to provide support. Assisting in providing data to various exchanges, AMAs for accuracy and technical mindset. Again, it's not something that you really want developers doing. You just need technical people to do this stuff. But in the absence of that, then the developer steps in and does it. So, okay, we can add these things. Set up a test network, set up a test network with the team to evaluate DNM processes. This again is a duplication, because that's a part of finalizing the release. You're not going to be able to release something without having a test net for it. So this is a duplication. Worked on a bug resolution already found with Alessandro in regard to DMN creation starting. Okay. Reconfigure test network for better testing, easier testing, research new ways to implement, adjust DNM, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So there's a lot of duplications here. So the pros of this is that it's good to have a core team, even if that core team seems to only be one person now. And that's pretty much the only pro. This is a bad proposal. The cons now, the immediate con is that you and Fuzzballs should be working together. He's a core developer, you're a core developer, and he's come in and thrown you under the bus. I'd like to see a more transparent breakdown of exactly where funds are being distributed. He's throwing himself under the bus as well. If you would like that, Fuzzballs, then why doesn't it exist? You guys are both core, so why don't you speak to each other? However, you are right, but do you know what I mean? Like, you are also highlighting that the two of you are doing a bad job of communicating with each other. Notating your own personal contributions, but this proposal looks to cover, I don't think you've done a good job of notating your own personal contributions, but this job looks to cover multiple people, but that is not entirely clear. You mention myself and Alessandro in one bullet point. He must mean that one. Maybe it's been edited and Fuzzballs has been redacted from that bullet point, but it's unclear if either of us are fund recipients from this proposal. Exactly. Alessandro should be submitting a separate proposal through labs, as I outlined by the end of the conversation, but the proposal being myself versus the original one. Sorry for the confusion, we'll update accordingly. Okay. So those are the negatives. It's just not clear. It really isn't clear. If there's a core team, there needs to be a core team. If there are core individuals, then they need to say exactly what they're doing, and they cannot ask for money when the thing has been financed elsewhere. Because if Alessandro is asking to finance, and when Alessandro did ask, he mentioned other people. So how many people do we need to fork Dash's deterministic masternodes? They're not coding this from scratch. There will be some differences, obviously, because they're proof of stake. There will be some differences, but it's not being coded from scratch. We can't. Let's not act like this is a 5-man job, because it's not. Because it's not. Testing and whatever, all right, fine. But the bulk of the work is going to have been done by 1, possibly 2 people. And I don't like what's happening here. I think things are getting far too muddied. People are putting their names like I helped with this and I helped with that, and everybody seems to be at it. Now, when we go and look at PIVX GitHub, when we go and look at PIVX GitHub, there's one name that seems to outrank all of them in terms of commits, and it's Fuzzballs. So we do have something from Liquid back here, but generally, and the commits don't lie. Do you know what I mean? Like, generally, most of the commits are being done by Fuzzballs. It doesn't mean to say that he is doing all the code and that, let's pick one out at random. Let's pick one out at random. No, let's not. That's not a good one. That's not a good one either. That's not a good one. Sorry, I want to pick one out at random, but I want to see who else is involved or who else is discussing. No, that's not a good one. All right, let's just start from the top, shall we? This is simple code replace, just replacing null with null PTR. I want to see the requests and the comments on the requests, but it seems like I am looking in the wrong place. Okay, let's forget this because I'm not doing it right, am I? There we go. I love. Oh, okay, so just a quick thing. This UT-ACK means untested acknowledgement. Kind of means do what you like. Well, we trust you. Yeah, go on, do what you like. We've seen you. I'm not gonna say that you're not bonkers, but we've seen you, and yeah, okay, if that's what you want to do. There's a lot of things from Peter L. Peter L may be Liquid. No, Peter L's not Liquid. Liquid is Liquid on here, actually. So anyway, because we're getting well off topic. My point being that when we actually go and look in the GitHub, yes, here's Liquid. For the changes I mentioned, build runs fine for me in the test. So we do see them pop up, but the difference in the presence in the actual code base is, it's clear, it's obvious, right? So as a core developer, we would expect to see you here a lot more. JS Kitty, who's not core, but he's thing, but that's a do as you like, another do as you like. Anyway, so that's another reason why I don't like this proposal. So what I would really suggest for this one, how could it be improved? Let's get some links to some of the GitHub stuff that you've committed. So when you do say I helped to do blah blah blah, let's have a link to the code base. Let's just link it so we can just click it. Okay, there he is. There he is actually doing the code. There he is actually pushing things forward. If you're supporting in some form of way, I don't know, that's going to be more difficult to link to, isn't it? Less of the duplications, and I would suggest completing a roadmap. Discuss with Fuzzballs and with the guys at PIVX Labs as well, because they are now quite a powerful group. within the development side of PIVX. And to me, I thought that Liquid was more a part of the lab side than he was the core side. But if he's going to be representing core side, we should have a roadmap. Let's see it. Let's see the roadmap. Let's see your at least your idea of what the roadmap should be. So new roadmap discussions, I think, in this proposal should say, this is what I think the roadmap should be. Vote me in and we'll argue about it later. I think that's fair. Then we can pay you for your work. Currently, what would I propose for this? What would I do with this proposal? For me, it's a no. Really, I think that the proposal is it's too short for a start. I love that it's concise. I do like that it's concise. It doesn't link to anything, and a lot of it is kind of like bleh. A lot of it is like it's not very to the point. It's concise in that it's a few words. Unfortunately, the words are very assisting PIVX labs. Do you know what I mean? Adoption, forward thinking. So yeah, so I'm gonna be voting no. I think that the proposal itself needs a lot of cleaning up, and I should probably comment such in here and what needs to be changed. In fact, I will when I finish recording. So that's that one. Let's, if you disagree, please comment below. Liquid, please don't hate me. I still love you. I just think you've put together a bad proposal, and everybody has times where they don't do things great. Even Ronaldo misses penalties, you know. So it happens. Evmos. This one is spicy. This one's a spicy meatball. So this proposal, it's one of the, it's literally just got rejected. But when I initially was going to record this, obviously this episode's a bit late. It was on the borderline. So since then, a lot more no's have come in. A lot more no's have come in towards the end of this proposal's life cycle. So basically what this proposal is to have an official community mod and community support team. Now they've done that with the DAO team and it's working very well. Now they want to do it with the community mod and support team. Well, they wanted to, and the network has said no. Now, has the network said no to the idea of paying for mods, or has the network said no to this particular proposal? Like, if I had have put in a proposal and brought other people to do it at a different price, would the network say yes? You can look at the discussion on the Commonwealth. Commonwealth is the world's slowest forum to load. It's terrible. But here we go. So the Evmos DAO guys are the ones that helped put this together, along with who looks like maybe he's the lead of the community mods and support. Basically, it's their job to speak to people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and also to provide support to people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, I look at this, and to me, the only place where I was a little unsure was on the level of funding. The level of funding seems a little high, maybe a little high for community mods. However, it's not that high for support mods. I think support, you need a higher level of technical understanding, because sometimes support issues can come in quite tricky. Some things run differently on Apple. Well, they would have with PIVX when we had a support team there. But with Evmos, you'll have different types of issues. You've got two blockchains essentially running. Well, you've got two runtimes. You've got the Ethereum one, you've got the IBC. So you've got the two runtimes, and I think that means you're going to have a quite technically savvy person sitting at their computer or wherever they are, ready to answer people's support queries when they come in. You need to pay to set up a proper ticketing system so that you can know who's solving which queries. Unfortunately, there's not much discussion here or presentation on the actual support stream, how support works. If I want support, what actually happens? I think that should be here. A lot of people who are voting are not the people who are going to be using the support, so they don't see it as being that important. I think this should have passed. For me personally, I think this should have passed, but I can understand why it didn't, and I think it's because of the fees, and I think that people scrimp and scrape when you say mod. They want you to get someone in from a country where the money goes further, so they want you to someone from Southeast Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, somewhere where you can say, okay, take your $10 a day, and that'll be fine for you. They never have that energy when it comes to paying developers. They don't have that same energy. So I feel like it's you're scrimping. Now, something that I did like about this proposal was they discussed the work they done when there was a hack. There was the Nomad hack. Now, with a support team is very much like insurance. Like, you don't really need them day in, day out. You can get by with community members just helping each other out and everybody just being friendly. You can generally get by with that. But when something big happens, PIVX, when we had an exploit, or the chain would halt, or the chain would fork, and different people are having different issues, or we don't yet know what the issue is, that's when your support team comes in trumps, and you save a lot of people a lot of money, or you save a lot of people a lot of heartache or a lot of headache. You need a support team for when big things happen. You shouldn't have a project as big as Evmos with no support team. For me, that's suicide. If the support team proposal is a bit too high, what else can you do but vote it down? So if that's the reason why it's been voted down, then fine. But if there's no clear alternatives, then I think you're being held to ransom, and if the ransom is affordable, then you pay. There's a comment here which upset me somewhat. This one here. Someone here just basically being a cheapskate. Tharsis as contractors at a rate of 2,500 USDC per month, then community pay 3,600. So, yeah. Okay, so you're paying an extra $1,000 per month. I think this is quite high for a mod, community mod. But if you're a mod stroke support, and I bet you this is not for everybody, I bet everybody's not on 3,600. But either way, support is important. Okay, so do I like the proposal? The proposal is very wordy. There's a lot of stuff going on here. The good thing about Evmos, which is not taken advantage of here properly, is that they have governance calls. The governance calls are good because then you get to actually hear the people speak, and a lot of the comments that are in the forums, they will actually raise them and they'll discuss them, and it's nicer to hear somebody speaking about it. You can trust people more when you hear them speak than when you just get text. You get an idea for how much they actually care, and the fact that they're not just trying to squeeze money, they are trying to make the project better. Okay, so junior is 3,300, senior is 4,300. Maybe junior could be a little bit lower, but you're penny pinching. And why penny pinch here? You don't penny pinch with development. So yeah, like I was saying, what would have been good would have been if they had a link to the recording of them on the governance call, and just edit that and add that onto the end, so people don't have to go through all of this reading, because there's quite a few proposals, and if you're in, like I say all the time, if you're in a few DAOs and there's this much reading to do, it's going to take you a long time. It took me a long time, and it's just not the best way to convey all of this. Well, it is the best way to convey all of this information, but there needs to be a shortened version, a TLDR. Excuse me. So they're asking for 800,000, which is about, I think it's about $250,000, maybe a bit more, $300,000 there or thereabouts. Assuming that will last for the year, and to me that will be money well spent. That will be money well spent. You are going to be prepared for disasters if disasters occur, and you're going to be prepared to grow into a bigger network, which is the plan. You don't want to grow into a bigger network and then try to build the infrastructure around it. You build the infrastructure first and then you grow. Obviously, the voters think no. The mods are also going to be making documents and things like that. So they're doing quite a lot. For me, it would have been a yes. We'll go through things. Oh yes, that's the only con. The only con with this proposal is that they don't seem to have a roadmap. That would have helped, I think, if they had a roadmap. We are going to do this, and we're going to do it by this time. You're going to get a year's worth of funding, so you should have a year's worth of tasks mapped out. But yeah, for community mod, and especially for support, which I think is where the bulk of the time will go, they can support with development at a lower level. If a developer comes in and says something like, why aren't my NFTs that we're building, why aren't they visible on IBC? They could point them to the right documentation, things like that. So yeah, I would have said yes. I'm disappointed that the Evmos guys have said no. I think a lot of that comes down to a lack of understanding, a lack of experience working with DAOs, a lack of experience probably with crypto, that you don't understand the importance of good support, and therefore you scrimp on it. When people come into crypto, the first thing they want to do is spend loads of money on development. Let's just throw money at development. If we've got one dev, we can develop something in a year. If we've got 10 devs, it will take us a month. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. So yeah, again, yeah, I said I'd be upsetting people. Evmos have made a mistake here. Yep, they're all idiots, and look what they've done, fools. They should have voted yes on this. Moving on, let's move on, because this is becoming a really long episode, but I'm having a great time. Okay, last one, the mighty Aave. Let's just go back to this landing page for a little while because it's calming. Okay, that's enough of that. The mighty Aave BUSD offboarding plan. Now, BUSD, or BUSD, is Binance USD. It's a stable coin offered by Binance, we can say underwritten by a company called PAXOS. PAXOS were, I thought, a bit of a joke when I got into crypto, but they have become a very serious outfit. They were tiny, but they've been around for ages, right? So they're a proper crypto infrastructure company, well managed, well run. They do a lot of stuff really well above board. Can't really speak highly enough of them, and just that they've come from a surprising background, surprising upbringing. Anyway, the Paxos people created the stable coin, and Binance also uses stable coin, but the Binance version is Binance branded and it's BUSD instead of, I don't know, PUSD. The problem is the Americans, in their ever-knowing wisdom, have now decided to go after Paxos. The Americans are the bane of almost everyone's existence. Well, can I get cancelled for that? They are. They're just ruining it. Anyway, so the Americans are trying to ruin it for everybody. The Americans are trying to ruin it for everybody, and they're going after Paxos. Paxos are fully backed. They didn't obviously go after FTX because they were getting paid by them. Yeah, but YouTube is definitely not sending this video out to anyone. Anyway, the Americans are going after PAXOS now. So PAXOS have decided they're not going to mint any more BUSD. So all you can do is reclaim it. It's not really a big deal. It hasn't scared everybody. I guess some people have sold their BUSD and they're not comfortable holding it. I've got some BUSD. I'm still holding it. I probably shouldn't, but a part of me feels like I don't want to be sent running by the Americans. I think they should just leave us alone. Anyway, so with that uncertainty looming over PAXOS and BUSD, the people at Aave have decided it would be prudent for them to lower the amount of BUSD that they have in their pools in case BUSD gets broken, in a similar way to how the UST was broken. Well, not a similar way, no. But the fact that it could lose its peg, let's say. That's not going to happen because PAXOS is fully liquid. They get audited. They show that they're liquid. So we all know that they're liquid. But yet the Americans are going after them anyway. No way. Okay, so here's the proposal. I like the proposal. It's very short, but there's not much really to say, right? So the proposal is motivation. PAXOS recently stopped minting of BUSD due to recent developments with the SEC. The SEC are who I call the Americans. This will result in the circulating supply of BUSD trending towards zero over time. Therefore, it is necessary to implement an offboarding plan for BUSD on the Aave version 2 Ethereum market. The resulting APR cost of the plan, blah, 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 blah. This stuff I don't actually understand. The ACI has analyzed the BUSD debt token holders and found that most top positions are relatively active addresses. Okay, I don't know who the ACI is. Aave something. There's acronyms here that I don't know. ACI would like to express gratitude for all participants for providing valuable feedback during discussions, and BGD Labs for providing valuable tooling support for rate strategy simulations. Excellent. Okay, so they've done their planning. Here's the implementation. Offboarding plan will be carried out in a single AIP. I know what AIP is. Aave improvement proposal with the following parameters: decrease the optimal from 80% to 20%, increase the reserve factor from 10% to 99.9%, increase bait rate 0% to 3%, increase slope 4% to 7%, increase slope 200% to 200%. I don't really know what a lot of these means, but I guess the idea is going to be, let's have a smooth exit of BUSD from the platform. Community has reached a consensus on this plan after valuable participation feedback during the ARC stage. So they have a stage, which is good, where they discuss on their own forums of what they think should happen. So let's see how the votes are going. And by the time this is published, it will still be voting time. And the yays have it. It's a runaway victory. The only possible reason I would vote nay, the only possible reason is just to be belligerent. It's just to not let the SEC threaten people and have them run for the hills. I hate that they have that power. In a court of law, they haven't proven that PAXOS has done anything wrong yet. They've just said, we think, and the SEC are not the law. They can lose. They can be wrong. They're just a bunch of guys who are, I don't know. I'm outside of their jurisdiction. I don't like them. I don't think they do good things. I think that, well, anyway, who cares about them? So yeah, that would be the only reason why I would say no. The only reason would be to say no, we should keep this. And if the SEC prove that it's bad, then we should talk about removing it. If they prove that it's bad, it doesn't stop it from being fully backed. Does it stop people from being able to claim their USD from behind the BUSD, even if they prove that it's, I don't know what they could prove in a court of law. I don't know what they would go after. I don't know what the exact charge would be. Would it stop the not liquidity, I forget the word, but would it stop it from being fully backed 1-to-1 by the dollars? No, it doesn't vanish the dollars. So people who own BUSD could probably still get their BUSD back. Would Binance bail everybody out? Probably. That would be the only reason why I would vote nay. Also, I'd vote nay because how does this look to Binance? Aave doing something like this in the future? If Aave fall into some sort of a foul of the SEC, does Binance then say, okay, well, yeah, we'll have no problem pulling Aave off of our exchange. We're not going to side with them. They didn't side with us. It seems like that's not even being considered here, because some people, out of blind loyalty, would probably say nay, risk it. I wouldn't be one of those, would I? It's easy to say I don't have much skin in the game with Aave. Maybe full disclosure, I think I've got a tiny bit of it. I don't know. What would you do? Would you be one of the people who said nay and stuck by Binance and Paxos through this SEC thing and tried to stick two fingers up at the Americans and say you can't scare everybody away from their own freedom? Or would you say yay and say that the protection of the protocol is the most important and the funds contained within is paramount and it's too high of a risk? What would you do? Answers in the comment section below. And that wraps us up for this episode. If I have to make a choice, I'm gonna go with yay. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go with nay. To heck with the SEC. I'm gonna go with nay. We shall not be scared. So I'm gonna go with nay. Thanks for watching. It's been a pretty long episode, almost an entire hour. To me, it feels like the time has flown by because the topics have been really interesting. There wasn't a lot happening on PIVX in this episode, so I had to choose the core development proposal. But once we got stuck into it, we could find quite a lot of room for improvement there. Unfortunately, that one was a no, even though it was one of my friends, so that's a little bit awkward. Sorry. Evmos dropped the ball. They done a silly. They should have funded a support team, but they haven't. I don't know. It's another reason for them to not have users, but they'll probably fund more DeFi rewards for some nonsense platform. Dash and the Dash core team, who are serial underachievers. I'm just here to upset people this week. They're not reporting. There's a Dash Trust that's not reporting, so that's also a no from me. I feel like they're voting the wrong way as well. And finally, Aave, cowering from the SEC. Bunch of nervous wrecks, scaredy cats, chickens, when they should have voted no and stuck with Paxos and Binance and been brave. Okay. Now that I've upset everybody and everybody's angry with me, show your disapproval by smashing that like button. Like, subscribe, and share. And I will be back in a fortnight with episode 11. In other news, also, I'm supposed to be doing a governance talk with a guy called Hans Konsig. Hans something. I don't know what his surname is. I forget. But I'm doing that on Twitter Spaces. We've penciled in the 29th of March. So if you're watching this before that, look out. Follow me on Twitter. Link is over there, down in that corner. Follow me on Twitter and you'll see more information. And then when we have that Twitter Spaces, come and get involved and you can hear me speak. I'm a great speaker. And you can hear us discuss different things. And me and Hans, I think we will think quite differently. We're from quite different backgrounds. we've had quite different experiences within crypto, and we've both had quite varied experiences. So that should be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to picking his brains on some topics and seeing where it leads. So yeah, that's a Twitter Spaces with me and someone else on, I think it's 29th of March in the PIVX Twitter space. I also, interestingly enough, applied for a role within Evmos on their DAO team. So follow me on Twitter and I'll keep people updated. If I don't get that job, then like what the hell. So I'll be there making their proposals better. And I think that's it. It's an hour. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in a fortnight. Peace.